From the moment human thought first dared to ask the deepest questions, one question has stood above all others in both wonder and mystery. Where did God come from? Before there was light to reveal form, before there was time to measure movement, before space was carved out of nothingness, God existed. Not as an abstract force, nor as a myth shaped by culture, but as the eternal, self-existent being who needed nothing outside himself to be fully real. He was not born. He was not formed. He was not summoned into existence. He did not begin. He simply is. And yet, despite his infinite nature, despite his existence beyond the grasp of time and material, this same God has made himself known, not as a distant mystery, but as the foundation of all reality and the source of all life. This is not a story rooted in myth or speculation. This is the testimony of theology, reason, and revelation. The uncovering of what it means for God to exist without origin, without beginning, and yet remain personally near to those who seek him. In this video, we journey into one of the most profound truths ever revealed, the eternal identity of God before the world began. We will explore who he was, what he was like, and why the answer to that question reshapes our understanding of time, purpose, and even our own place in the universe. If you're ready to go beyond surface-level faith, if you're searching for deeper understanding about the God who holds time in his hands, if you want to grasp what it truly means that God had no origin, yet is the origin of all things, then this is a journey you cannot afford to miss. Before we begin, take a moment to support this message. Like this video to help it reach more viewers hungry for truth. Comment below with your thoughts or questions. We read and respond to every one. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a new release. Share this video with someone searching for more than just answers. Someone searching for God himself. Now, let us step beyond the veil of time and explore the eternal nature of the one who existed before creation. Long before the world was framed, before the heavens were stretched out, before light was called forth or time began its silent march, God existed. His being was not the result of any force, process, or progression. He was not born from some prior condition, shaped by external influence, or summoned into reality by cosmic order. He simply was. His existence does not begin at a point. It has no point of beginning. There was never a state in which God was not fully and infinitely himself. Unlike everything else that would later come into being, everything which would require cause, structure, or origin, God required none. He is eternal in the most absolute sense. His essence is not measured by time, for time itself is one of his creation. He does not move through a succession of moments. He does not exist on a timeline. There is no before or after in relation to him, only the ever-present reality of his unchanging existence. This is what sets God apart from all that is created. Time marks the movement of change, the passage of states from potential to actual, from old to new. But God is not subject to change. He does not improve, decline, begin, or end. He has no past to recall, no future to anticipate. His presence is not bound to memory or expectation. It is eternal, absolute, and fully actualized. The nature of his existence is what theologians call Aseity, his self-existence. He depends on nothing outside himself. He does not derive being, purpose, or substance from any other. He is the necessary foundation upon which all contingent realities rest. If anything exists now, something must have existed always, and that something cannot itself be created. God is that uncreated, uncaused, self-sufficient being, the very ground of all reality. His identity is not developed over time, nor revealed through unfolding discovery. When he spoke to Moses from the burning bush, he did not offer a title shaped by history or a name drawn from genealogy. He said simply, "I am." This declaration is not philosophical poetry. It is a profound revelation of being. God is not someone who became or will become. He is the one whose very nature is to be, always, without origin, without evolution, without contingency. Every created thing is marked by dependence. The stars rely on gravity, organisms on breath, thoughts on consciousness, and matter on energy. But God relies on nothing. He is not one being among others. He is being itself, the one who gives all things their form, sustains all things in their function, and defines all things by his will. To say that God existed before creation is not to say that he merely arrived first. It is to affirm that his existence is altogether unlike ours. He does not inhabit the world as one of its features. He is not part of the environment he created. He does not dwell in time, space, or matter, but rather, these dwell in him. The universe is not his habitat. It is his handiwork. His presence precedes the dimensions he formed. His mind conceived every law of physics. His will determined every particle's motion. His voice called forth what was not, and his being sustained it once it came into existence. Creation did not add to him. It did not complete him. It was not the moment he became active or relational. He was already fully complete before time began. Perfect in power, perfect in wisdom, perfect in love, perfect in glory. While all created things are subject to decay, transition, and eventual dissolution, God alone stands as the fixed axis upon which all things turn. His immutability means he does not change. His eternality means he does not pass away. His self-sufficiency means he is never in need. His uniqueness means there is none like him, before, beside, or beyond. This is not a myth about beginnings. It is a truth about reality's source. God has no point of origin. He is not an effect waiting for a cause. He is not a chapter in time's story. He is the author who wrote time into existence. Everything else came to be. God alone has always been. He does not become greater by being worshipped. He is not made more complete by being acknowledged. He is not defined by creation. Creation is defined by him. The universe owes its existence not to chance, process, or necessity, but to a timeless, changeless, perfect being who is already present in full majesty before a single thing began. To speak of the origin of God is to confront the limits of human language. For the God who created beginnings was never himself begun. He is not merely first, he is foundational. He is not simply ancient, he is eternal. He does not exist because there is a universe. The universe exists because there is God. This is who God was before creation, the one who needs no unfolding to be glorious, no audience to be worthy, no world to be real. The fullness of existence, the absolute of being, the fountainhead of reality, forever present, forever complete, forever God. Before there was space to be filled or time to be measured, the nature of God remained infinitely full, radiant, and absolute. In that eternal stillness, where there was neither matter nor motion, God's being was already complete. He was not waiting to become more, not lacking some future glory, not in the process of unfolding. Every perfection that could ever be imagined already existed in him, without division, without deficiency, and without beginning. God's knowledge had no source outside himself. He is omniscient, not in a way that learns or grows, but in a way that encompasses all things instantly and eternally. He knows all that can be known, not through observation, but because every truth, every possibility, every hidden pattern and unseen depth exists within his unchanging mind. There has never been a moment in which he did not know the outcome of every choice, the purpose of every particle, and the path of every soul. His knowledge does not develop, it defines reality itself. His power is boundless, not because he crushes resistance, but because nothing can stand apart from his will. He is omnipotent, not in force, but in finality. When he wills, it is. When he speaks, it becomes. There is no struggle in him. Creation did not require effort, it required intention. Every law of nature, every physical force, every boundary in the universe is held in place by power that does not strain or deplete. His might is not measured in action, but in authority. He is omnipresent, not like a gas that expands to fill space, but as the sustaining presence who gives space its very structure. Helium is not distant from any place, nor is he spread out thinly across creation. He is fully present in every corner of existence, yet never bound by it. There is no hiding from him, no place where he is more or less real. The vastness of the universe does not dilute him, and the smallest detail does not escape him. He upholds all things not from afar, but from within. His holiness is not an attribute among others. It is the blazing purity of his being, utterly separate from all that is corrupt, false, or fading. There is no trace of imperfection in him. He is not holy because he follows a moral code. He is holy because he is the very standard of righteousness. Every moral law that governs the universe is simply a reflection of his nature. His wisdom is unsearchable. It does not develop through trial or error, nor is it the result of accumulated experience. God's wisdom is the perfect union of knowledge and purpose. Every outcome He ordains is good, every decision perfectly timed, every purpose flawlessly aligned with truth. He does not guess, He does not revise. Every detail, from the spinning of galaxies to the unfolding of human lives, moves in harmony with His understanding. His justice is not a reaction to wrong. It is the unchanging expression of what is right. He does not overlook evil, nor does He act in rage or inconsistency. His justice flows from the integrity of His character. He judges according to truth, not preference. He defends the innocent, confronts wickedness, and balances mercy with righteousness. There is no corruption in His court, no flaw in His verdicts, no delay in His decisions. And at the center of all His attributes is love, not as an action performed, but as an identity possessed. God did not become loving when creation appeared. Love did not begin when humans were made. Love has always existed within God Himself. From eternity past, the Father loved the Son, and the Son delighted in the Father, and the Spirit moved in the joy of perfect unity. God's love is not a response. It is the eternal bond that flows within the Trinity, requiring no external object, but freely given nonetheless. Before a single world was shaped or a single voice lifted in praise, God was already complete. He lacked nothing. He longed for nothing. He was infinitely alive, infinitely wise, infinitely holy, and infinitely good. Every attribute of God, His knowledge, power, presence, justice, mercy, and love, was fully present and perfectly unified before anything else came to be. To ask what God was like before creation is to look into the depths of absolute reality itself. He was not waiting for purpose. He was not shaped by history. He was not defined by relationship to anything outside Himself. He was and remains the eternal center of all truth, and the fixed point upon which all other things depend. And from that fullness, creation would one day emerge, not to complete Him, but to reflect Him. Before the universe was formed, before angels were summoned to existence, before the first laws of nature were spoken into motion, God existed in eternal fellowship. In the unmeasurable stillness of pre-creation, God was not alone. He was not solitary, isolated, or incomplete. Within the fullness of His eternal being existed a perfect communion, the Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. This truth is not a later development, nor a theological invention to explain the New Testament. It is the timeless reality of who God has always been. The Trinity is not a role assumed after creation, nor a function God took on to relate to humanity. It is His very nature. One God, not three separate beings, three persons, not one acting under different disguises. Co-eternal, co-equal, indivisibly united in essence. The Father has always been the Father, not because He created something to rule, but because He has eternally loved the Son. The Son has always been the Son, not because He was born in Bethlehem, but because He has eternally been with the Father, glorifying Him in unbroken joy. The Spirit has always been the Spirit, not as an impersonal force, but as the living breath of communion between the Father and the Son, actively present in their eternal delight. Before anything was created, relationship already existed. Love was not born in time. It did not begin with human affection or angelic adoration. It was not the result of creation. It is older than creation. It has no origin because it flows eternally from the God who is Himself a relational being. The Scriptures affirm that God is love, 1 John chapter 4 verse 8. And this love is not directed outward by necessity, but inward in eternal fellowship between the three persons of the Godhead. There was no deficiency in God that creation had to fulfill, no loneliness to relieve, no desire unmet. Within the triune life of God existed perfect self-giving, perfect joy, and perfect unity. The Father did not begin to love, He always has loved. The Son did not grow into obedience. He has always been the radiant expression of the Father's glory. The Spirit did not wait for a world to move upon. He has always hovered in the eternal peace of divine harmony. This mutual glorification, this eternal outpouring of delight from one person of the Trinity to another, is not an abstract concept. It is the deepest truth of who God is. It explains why God did not need to create and yet freely chose to create. The act of creation was not to establish God's identity, but to extend His joy. It was the overflow of eternal love expressed outward into space and time. The Trinity's existence before creation also means that God's nature is fundamentally relational. He is not a distant monad, cold and detached. He is not a cosmic machine of impersonal power. He is personal, interactive, and eternally alive within himself. That relational wholeness is not something he grew into. It is the eternal heartbeat of his being. And from that heartbeat came the rhythm of creation. The love between Father, Son, and Spirit was not static, but dynamic. Active, living, full of divine motion. It was this life-giving communion that formed the blueprint for all future relationships, between God and man, between one human and another, between creation and creator. Every glimpse of unity, every act of selfless love, every harmony of purpose in the created world reflects the eternal communion from which it sprang. This is not a secondary detail of theology. The Trinity is not a side doctrine. It is the very foundation of divine identity. It tells us who God was before creation, what kind of being made the universe, and why love, communication, and unity are woven into the structure of reality itself. Before the first moment was measured, God existed in perfect fellowship. He was not alone. He was not waiting. He was complete in himself. Eternally Father, eternally Son, eternally Spirit. One in essence, distinct in personhood, unified in will and glory. This is who God was before creation. Not a solitary power waiting to act, but a living communion, overflowing with joy, love, and perfection. Creation did not form the Trinity. The Trinity formed creation, and everything that was made, every world, every life, every breath, flows from that eternal fellowship. But to even speak of a God who lives in eternal relationship, we must first ask, how can such a being exist without origin, without time, without change? To contemplate the existence of God before creation is to enter a realm where ordinary categories collapse. Time, space, causality, motion, everything the human mind depends on to organize reality, has not yet been brought into being. What remains is God alone, and the attempt to understand him in that state of eternal pre-existence reveals both the brilliance and the limits of human reasoning. Philosophy has long grappled with the idea of a first cause, a necessary being, a self-sustaining origin from which all else flows. The ancient Greeks spoke of the unmoved mover, the one who initiates all motion without being moved himself. Later thinkers, from Aquinas to Leibniz, developed the idea of necessary existence, a being whose non-existence is impossible, who contains the reason for his own being within himself. This is not a being who simply happens to exist. It is a being who must exist for anything else to be possible. Theologians, drawing from divine revelation, offer a parallel yet deeper affirmation that God is not only the first cause, but the uncaused cause. He is the only being whose existence is not borrowed, not derived, not dependent. This is what is meant by the doctrine of Aseity, that God exists in and of himself. He is not the effect of any process. He is not conditioned by anything outside of himself. He is not upheld by a principle more fundamental than his own being. He is the foundation of all reality, the reason anything exists at all. He is not moved by time because he is not in time. Time is not the realm in which he operates. It is the framework he created to govern the unfolding of creation. He does not change because he does not lack anything that needs to be gained, nor does he risk losing anything he possesses. Change belongs to the finite, the incomplete, the imperfect. But God is eternally and immutably perfect. He does not become, he is. He is not bound by material because material did not precede him. There was no matter before God. Matter is not the substance from which he arose, it is the substance he called into existence. Nor is he bound by space. Space is not where God resides, it is what he established to give form and distance to the physical world. He transcends dimension, yet remains present within all dimensions by his sustaining will. The very categories of logic, beauty, truth, and moral law do not stand over God as standards to which he must conform. They flow from his nature. He is not subject to reason, he is the source of it. He is not shaped by goodness, he is goodness in its most absolute form. The consistency of logic, the order of the cosmos, the appeal of beauty, the authority of morality, all these are not arbitrary constructs. They are reflections of the eternal character of the one who was already fully real before anything else began. To speak of God before creation is not to place him at the starting line of history. It is not to imagine him waiting in darkness for the moment of origin to arrive. It is to acknowledge that there is a realm beyond chronology, beyond motion, beyond sequence, where God simply is, fully alive, fully present, fully actualized. This realm is not a place in space or a point in time. It is eternity itself, not endless time, but timeless existence. God did not experience one moment followed by another. He sees all of history in a single unified gaze. What to us is past, present, and future, he comprehends as a total reality, unbroken by delay or development. Human language inevitably falters when stretched to describe this. Words like before and after, inside and outside, here and there begin to lose their meaning when applied to God. But even in the failure of language, a deeper truth is revealed, that God's existence surpasses not only imagination, but all created categories of thought. And yet, this mystery is not meant to distance us from God. It is meant to humble us before him, to realize that he is not simply the greatest being in the universe, but the being upon which the very possibility of a universe depends. He is not simply old, he is eternal. He is not simply powerful, he is the source of all power. He is not simply wise, he is the origin of all wisdom. He is not defined by the things he made, they are defined by him. In the end, to understand who God was before creation is not to reach the edge of knowledge, but to arrive at its source. And there, beyond time and before beginnings, we find not an idea, not a force, not a process, but a person. Perfect in being, absolute in self-existence, the fountainhead of everything that ever was, is, or will be. If God existed in absolute perfection before the world began, complete in love, full in glory, lacking nothing, then the question naturally arises, why create at all? What purpose lies behind the existence of galaxies, planets, living beings, and the unfolding drama of history? The answer is not found in deficiency. God did not create the universe to resolve some internal lack. There was no emptiness in him that needed to be filled, no solitude he sought to escape, no absence of love, joy, or glory that demanded repair. The triune God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, was already living in eternal relationship, infinite communion, and perfect satisfaction. He was not becoming greater through creation. He was expressing the fullness that was already his. Creation then was not born from necessity but from divine will, a will that is free, sovereign, and good. It was an act of generosity, a decision not to acquire something but to give something. God created not to receive but to share. From the overflow of his being, he willed a reality that was not himself, yet would reflect his nature. He summoned into existence a universe where his glory could be made visible, where his wisdom could be seen, and where his love could be known beyond the boundaries of the divine communion. This act was neither random nor chaotic. It was not the result of blind energy, impersonal laws, or undirected expansion. Creation came into being with intentionality. Every element of the cosmos bears the marks of divine design. The stars were not thrown into the sky haphazardly. They were ignited by a purpose. The forces of nature do not function by chance. They operate according to laws that mirror the order of their creator. Every structure in the visible world, from the patterns in galaxies to the code written in DNA, reflects not only intelligence but personhood, a mind and will behind the material. God's desire was not merely to craft a functioning universe, but to create a realm in which he could reveal himself, his beauty, his truth, his holiness, his mercy. Creation serves as both a mirror and a stage. It mirrors the attributes of its maker and sets the stage upon which his redemptive plan unfolds. The heavens declare the glory of God because they were designed to do so. The earth is filled with the works of his hands because it was formed by his word. And at the center of this grand design was not simply a set of physical laws or spiritual symbols, but the desire for relationship. God did not only create things, he created beings. Beings with thought, will, emotion, and conscience. Beings made in his image. Humanity was not an afterthought, it was central to the purpose of creation. In forming mankind, God was not making servants to perform divine errands. He was crafting children, image-bearers, capable of knowing him, loving him, and reflecting his nature in the world he made. Creation was the platform upon which this divine relationship would take place. It is the temple of God's presence, a cosmic sanctuary where His glory could dwell and be experienced by those capable of responding in worship and obedience. Nature itself became a kind of parable, filled with signs pointing back to the Creator, not as a detached force, but as a personal God who desires to be known. It must also be said that the universe is not God. It is not divine in itself. It is not an extension of His being. But it bears His fingerprints, the beauty of a sunset, the vastness of the sea, the symmetry of a snowflake, the logic of mathematics, the language of biology, all testify to a mind that designed and sustains it all. Creation sings, not with its own voice, but with the echo of the one who made it. To ask why God created is not to uncover a flaw in Him, but to encounter His greatness. It is to see that the origin of the universe lies not in emptiness, but in abundance. It is to realize that behind the existence of all things stands a God whose desire was not to gain, but to give. A God who chose to make Himself known, not because He had to, but because He willed to. A God whose eternal being overflowed into time, not out of compulsion, but out of love. This is the origin of creation, not a cosmic accident, not a spontaneous eruption of matter and energy, but a deliberate act of self-disclosure by the eternal God who had already existed in infinite joy and perfection before the first atom came into being. Among all that was brought into existence, from the spinning of galaxies to the intricacies of atoms, there was one creation that stood apart, not by size nor by strength, but by design. Humanity was not a cosmic accident, nor a last-minute addition to an already finished world. Humanity was the culmination of creation, the pinnacle of God's intent, deliberately shaped and divinely purposed. When God formed the universe, it was not merely to display His power or to exhibit His creativity. It was to prepare a dwelling place where a unique kind of being could exist, a being made in His image, not in physical form, for God is spirit, but in nature, in capacity, and in purpose. From the dust of the earth He sculpted the first human body, not as an ornament, but as a vessel. Into that form He breathed life, not simply biological function, but personal spirit. The human soul was awakened not by process, but by the very breath of God. This act reveals something astonishing, that the eternal God who existed before time, complete and sufficient in Himself, chose to share His likeness with finite creatures. Humanity was created to reflect Him, to think, to love, to reason, to create, and to relate. These are not incidental traits, they are marks of divine image-bearing. The human mind was built to explore truth. The human heart was made to love freely. The human will was designed to choose with moral clarity. The human spirit was wired for communion. God did not create humans as tools to serve a distant deity, nor as puppets to perform for divine amusement. He created them for relationship, to walk with Him, to know Him, to enjoy Him, and to join in the harmony that had existed within the Trinity for all eternity. Humanity was intended to be a visible expression of the invisible God, a reflection of His character in the material world. The role given to humanity was not domination, but stewardship. God entrusted humans with authority, not as license to exploit, but as a sacred charge to govern the earth with wisdom and care, to cultivate creation, to maintain its order, and to live as representatives of the divine King. The task of ruling was never about control, it was about cooperation with the Creator's intent. But even in the face of this high calling, humanity chose rebellion. The harmony between God and man, between spirit and soul, between creation and Creator, was fractured by sin. The image was not erased, but it was distorted. The relationship was not revoked, but it was ruptured. And yet, even in judgment, God did not abandon His original purpose. The plan that existed before creation, the intention to dwell with humanity, to share divine communion, to bring image-bearers into eternal relationship, was never canceled. From the very beginning, God's goal was not merely to make humanity, but to unite with them. This purpose is consistent across Scripture. In the Garden of Eden, God walks with Adam and Eve. In the tabernacle and the temple, His presence dwells among His people. In the incarnation, God takes on flesh to live among men. In the resurrection, He paves the way for eternal communion. and in the final restoration, the dwelling place of God is once again with man. To ask who God was before creation is also to understand who humanity was meant to be within that creation. We were not formed in response to divine need, but in response to divine love. We were not crafted as background figures in a cosmic theater, but as central participants in a divine relationship that reaches back before the world began. Humanity's role is not about independence from God. It is about intimacy with Him, not about self-definition, but about God reflection. We were made to live in harmony with the one who existed before time. We were made to join in the love that flowed between Father, Son, and Spirit before a single atom existed. That invitation still stands, not because we are worthy of it, but because God's purpose has never changed. To speak of the God who existed before creation is to speak of a being so vast, so holy, so beyond the categories of time and matter, that the human mind can barely begin to grasp His majesty. He is the one who existed in eternity, needing nothing, depending on no one. He spoke, and the cosmos unfurled. He willed, and reality took shape. He formed humanity, not from instinct or necessity, but from intentional love. He is the ground of all being, the origin of all purpose, the fountain from which all existence flows. And yet, this eternal, transcendent God is not remote. He is not locked in some inaccessible dimension, watching creation unfold like a distant observer. He is not a force to be theorized or a concept to be discussed. He is a living presence, real and near. Not only did He create the world, He remains within it, not confined to it, but intimately involved with every part of it. He is not only the God of ancient wonders or prophetic revelations. He is not confined to the pages of sacred history. He is the God of now, active, present, sovereign over every moment. The one who existed before the foundation of the world is also the one who searches the human heart in the present moment. He has always been aware of every soul, every struggle, every silent cry, every hidden thought. He is as near to the modern seeker as He was to the ancient prophet. Before a single star was set in place, He knew every name that would one day be spoken. Before any kingdom rose or fell, He had seen every heart that would ever beat. Before the first breath of life was drawn, He had already ordained the days of every life. This is not abstract theology. This is reality, personal, powerful, and persistent. Though time has passed and generations have come and gone, God has not changed. He is still calling. He is still reaching. He is still inviting. Not just humanity as a whole, but each individual, personally, intentionally, patiently. He waits not with indifference, but with compassion. He is not far off, hidden behind the noise of modern life. He is beyond the noise, yet speaking through it, beyond the doubt, yet answering it, beyond the fear, yet present in it. And so the question is no longer a matter of historical curiosity or metaphysical speculation. It is not simply who was God before creation. That question has been answered. He is eternal, complete, and unchanging. The more urgent question now becomes, will creation return to the God who made it? The same God who existed before time began is the same God who now calls to the human soul. He invites not only understanding, but surrender. Not only awe, but communion. He is not asking to be studied from afar, but to be known as Creator, as Sustainer, as Redeemer, as Father. Each soul must now consider its response. If God truly is who He says He is, eternal, self-existent, holy, loving, near, then there is no more significant decision than whether we will respond to Him. The God who was before creation still waits, not because He is bound by time, but because He desires relationship. The one who formed the universe has made space for you in it, not just to exist, but to walk with Him. This is not the end of a story. It is the place where understanding turns into encounter, where knowledge becomes response, where truth becomes trust, where creation returns, not as something forgotten, but as someone found. The origin of God was never in question. The real question is now personal. Will you return to the one who made you? We began with a question, who was God before creation? And now, having walked through the depths of eternity, having seen glimpses of divine self-existence, triune love, and the foundation of all reality, we know that God is not defined by beginnings. He does not dwell within the story. He is the source of the story. He is not bound by time. He is not shaped by history. He is not the product of anything created. He is eternal, complete, and unchanging. Before anything came to be, he already was, radiant in holiness, rich in wisdom, perfect in love, and full in glory. But this truth is not meant to remain abstract. It is not a theological concept to admire from a distance. It is a divine reality that calls for a personal response. The same God who existed before creation is the same God who still calls to every soul today. He is not hidden. He is not far. He is near, closer than breath, inviting you not simply to acknowledge him, but to know him, not simply to understand his nature, but to respond to his presence. The question is no longer whether God had an origin. He did not. The question now is this: will you return to the one who made you? If this video gave you a deeper glimpse into the eternal nature of God, if it challenged your view of existence, if it stirred something in your spirit, please take a moment to help this message go further. Like this video to support the truth being shared. Comment below with your thoughts. We welcome every question and reflection. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next chapter in this journey of discovery. Share this video with others seeking depth, clarity, and divine truth in a world full of noise. Thank you for watching, truly. Whether this is your first time here or you've followed our content for a while, your time and presence matter deeply. In a world where so many turn away from what is eternal, you chose to lean in. Until next time, keep seeking, keep listening, and keep walking in the light of the one who was and is to come.